5.5 years after Hurricane Irma ravaged parts of Florida, hundreds living in the hardest hit areas are stuck waiting for help from the state's disaster recovery program.
Florida received over $600 million from the federal government in 2018 to repair and replace victims' homes.
Now, I-Team investigator Jackie Calloway, who first exposed problems with the Rebuild Florida project back in 2021, found some homeowners still living in deplorable conditions.
Disabled and afraid. Two constants in Marita Ruiz-Arzola's life.
Whenever I have to walk in the kitchen, it's like soft, so I have to step over it.
In 2017, Hurricane Irma trashed the Lakeland mobile home Marita shares with her son Manny.
There's insulation hanging out. This is one of the worst spots of the leak.
The storm flooded the place, damaging the plumbing and electric.
You got it?
Leaving the 66-year-old with rotted floors, non-working outlets, and no air conditioning.
In the summertime, it's very bad.
In 2021, Rebuild Florida agreed to replace the mobile home. How excited were you?
Very much so. And I said, I saw the light on the end of the tunnel.
That light dimmed to despair as Marita waited for Rebuild Florida, which is run by the Department of Economic Opportunity, to start her project.
I have no words.
A few miles away, Irma victim Ada Morales told us through an interpreter that Rebuild Florida approved her for a new mobile home about 2.5 years ago.
That's all I want is to be in my house.
The state put the 80-year-old up in a hotel 13 months ago, then delivered a mobile home to her lot. But it sat unfinished and unlivable for a year and 3 months.
It hasn't been easy.
HUD gave Florida about $615 million since 2018 to repair and rebuild properties for the under and uninsured victims. Now, 5 years later, DEO says it has spent $311 million and returned more than 3,000 people to their homes. But what about the nearly 1,000 others? It's a question I've asked the agency a dozen times in the last 3 months. The agency did answer a different question. What's causing the delays? A spokesperson said in an email these factors include damage from subsequent storms, a burdened supply chain, ongoing pricing challenges, lack of eligible general contractors, and complex permitting processes.
This is exactly what I do.
The I-Team first exposed problems with Rebuild Florida in 2021, after we met Michael Rose at his storm-torn mobile home in Pinellas Park. 2 years after the state approved him for the program, Michael was still washing dishes and showering outside with a garden hose.
It's a long time to live like this.
You're looking at what used to be my bedroom.
And John Vargas lived in a rotting home for 2 years after Rebuild Florida approved him.
They made a lot of promises.
I like the color.
The program picked up speed after we started asking questions. The state finished another 500 projects, including Michael's, in the months after we aired his story. DEO now states they've achieved a 1,778% increase in completed homes since 2020. But problems remain. I'm actually at her home right now, and she is unable to even use the restroom. After touring Marita's home, I reached DEO by phone. I'm just trying to find out a timeline and maybe what her other housing options are.
15 minutes later, I received a phone call from Rebuild.
After our call, Rebuild Florida quickly put Marita in a hotel room.
Nice.
And started demolition on her trailer.
I feel so much safer and relaxed. I was completely stressed out.
And months after we started asking DEO about Ada's move-in date,
Wow!
state-hired contractors finished her replacement mobile home.
Beautiful. Whoops. Thank you, Chisa. Thank you. Oh my God.
I reached out to HUD about Rebuild Florida's progress. The state has until August of 2025 to utilize the funds, and it's required to post quarterly performance reports. Now, based on HUD's data and what the DEO has told us, about half the funds for the program have yet to be spent. With photojournalist Matt McGlashan, I'm I-Team investigator Jackie Calloway, taking action for you.